You guys ready? We'll try and be briefer than the other side, our friends. Appreciate y'all coming. I appreciate the governor's remarks today. I thought he shared all the wonderful things taking place across Indiana. There's a lot to build on, a lot of success to build on this session and in coming years, and that's what we look forward to doing. So it's great to have him kind of outline the accomplishments that have taken place. And then highlight some things that we can do this year to build on everything that I think the foundation that we set. So appreciate his remarks and tone today, and look forward to working with him and our Senate colleagues to have a strong session.
Well, likewise, just piggyback on what the speaker said. The governor struck a nice tone today. Indiana's got a fantastic story to tell. I think one of the big focuses was about affordability. We've already been working on that with regard to property taxes. 2/3 of Hoosiers across the state, when they pay their property taxes in May, will pay a smaller bill than they paid in 2025. Also, January 1, our income taxes went down, and they'll go down again to 2.9% in January 1 of 2027. So all those pieces, but also utility bills, housing costs that the House is working on. Got a good bill that we look forward to having over in the Senate. So that's going to help push those housing prices down, which is really, really important here in the state of Indiana. So we're excited to continue to work on those pieces of affordability here in the state to make things more affordable for Hoosiers. But also appreciate what the governor talked about with regard to our education successes. You see the iRead jumped by 5% this year, which is a fantastic story. Even the Indianapolis public school system actually jumped by 10%, and that's on the heels of a really good change in the NAEP score from 18th or so to down to 6th place in the nation. So we're really proud of those sorts of things, and we're going to continue to work on job growth and opportunities for wage growth here for Hoosiers, and look forward to answering what questions you might have.
Senator Braun, obviously the governor's had some testing relationship with you folks in the Senate. How's that relationship these days, and did the state address do anything to change that and to scrap last year and start all over?
Well, I mean, it was a good speech. And again, like I said, and talked about some of the highlights that are really good parts of the story that Indiana has to tell. And we're grateful for the governor kind of highlighting that for us. And with regard to that, look, there's lots of hard things that happen in this place, and we are going to continue to come to work and do good work for Hoosiers, and look forward to working with the governor for that and with the House as well.
Democrats are saying that this focus on affordability basically is just, essentially, for lack of a better phrase, Republicans adopting what Democrats have been pushing for years.
I don't recall any Democrats voting for the property tax bill, or not very many of them, nor the tax cuts that we did already. So, we're just, and as we take a look at daycare, for instance, we've been trying over the last several years to decrease the regulation. Not so that it becomes unsafe, but to make sure, when you decrease the regulation, you make it a little less expensive. So those are some conservative ideas that we're trying that'll decrease some of the costs for Hoosiers around the state.
Yeah, and I would just note that, and our friends across the aisle, are our friends. These are topics we've talked about at length before, and we've actually, as Senator Braun noted, taken action on before, and then we'll continue to take action on. I think we just have a fundamental disagreement about government's role in working to find the right solutions for it. But we'll work collaboratively and cooperatively with anybody who has a good idea. But I think I'm proud of the record that the Indiana Republican leadership has had in addressing so many of these issues. And as Senator Braun noted, whether it's property taxes or income taxes, or through the years, any number of things we've helped cut to keep more money in Hoosiers' pockets, we'll run on that record all day long.
On data centers, Governor Braun talked about supporting companies footing the whole cost of the bill of these projects. There was a bill last year to make it to require them to cover 80%. Is there any legislative interest in bumping that up to 100%?
I think that is already, sometimes the legislature doesn't have, the free market will take care of what the legislature, we wanted to create a floor, an appropriate floor. That's what we did. The great part is the market has said, these companies are willing to invest. They need this technology. Our country needs this technology. This is a national security issue. It's a huge economic development issue. So I think, we'll let the market take care of it. And I think 80, was what's in the legislation. I think 100, the floor of what we're seeing.
Can Indiana wait on the child care crisis until 2027 to do something on it, especially with daycares closing, the wait lists that are out there?
Well, look, we've talked a lot about this. I mean, the fact of the matter is that the government constrained the supply of daycare. And I think, last year we had passed a dereg bill on that. We've got another bill working way through the system. I think, we've talked about providing maybe some opportunities to augment some CCDF dollars if necessary. But look, I mean, the best thing we can do is help support more supply. And the government's not going to be the best avenue to do that. The best avenue to do that is to reduce the regulations and let a lot of these folks that used to provide child care without having the burden of all these government regulations that just do nothing but drive up costs and challenge the affordability problem.
Is that happening at all this year, or is that going to be a budget year discussion?
It'll certainly be a budget discussion next year. You've seen us over the past couple of years, though, and in fact, I think it was Senate Bill 3 that Senator Charbonneau had maybe 2 years ago. I can't remember offhand, but we're all to do exactly what the speaker talked about: try to reduce some of that regulation so that there's so that people are freer to provide childcare costs that is less expensive and up the supply.
Governor Braun had mentioned AI being in the future. Do you believe that the legislators are working towards focusing on that, or do you think that you guys agree with the statement?
I'm not sure I followed your question, please.
So Governor Braun had mentioned that AI is going to be the future of our jobs. Do you, as legislators, agree with that, and are you working towards anything to help address that?
Well, artificial intelligence is here to stay and is going to continue to grow. It's a big part of, I think you mentioned it maybe in the context of the data centers, and that's part of the national security for the United States that we have that access here. I mean, the neat thing is that is essentially turning electricity into intelligence. I don't begin to be smart enough to understand that, but I know that it's certainly something that we need to take very seriously. I think you've seen here in the Senate, in particular with regard to Senator Braun, she's kind of leaned into that so that we understand, one, what the concerns or the risks are with regard to cybersecurity, but also what the opportunities are. Indiana as a government, needs to understand how it should and can avail itself of artificial intelligence, and maybe in some way how we need to embrace it as a state. But when it comes to legislation in that regard, I probably would prefer the federal government take a look at that first. I mean, it would be difficult for all 50 states to have different policies with regard to that.
Mr. Speaker, you mentioned that a potential solution to addressing the child care crisis is deregulation. What else can lawmakers do this session to meaningfully address the child care crisis in Indiana?
I mean, we totally respect that this is an issue, and we're trying to work our way through it. I'm not sure. I mean, looking at the data sets, maybe you guys have different data than I have. I'd throw the word crisis around to describe this. It's a challenge for too many families that we're trying to work our way through. Again, we recognize, last year we put additional dollars, $100+ million in the CCDF to sustain a program. We're trying to make sure the right families that are eligible actually get those dollars. I think that's what, again, this entire conversation is, we recognize there are families, the most needy families should have access and the solutions to those dollars, or access to those dollars, so they can be the right solution for them. Again, we've got Representative Cash has a bill on our side that expands, it allows the tax credit that's already on the books to be able to use for child care. This will be something we'll work on over the next 6 weeks.
The governor specifically endorsed House Bills 1001 and 1002 and Senate Bill 1 in his speech. How much contact are you having behind the scenes with the governor's staff on those bills?
I'll just speak on 1001 and 1002. I mean, we work in collaboration with all of our partners on that. So, we keep the governor's office informed and the Senate informed. And on House Bill 1001, the housing, I think the governor noted today, that's a real challenge in our state and across our country. House Bill 1001 seeks to address that, and House Bill 1002 kind of builds on a lot of the work that Representative Soliday and Senator Cook have done on energy affordability and reliance, and so it builds on those two things. So those are conversations that take place throughout the year as we think about what we can do to serve Hoosiers.
And with regard to one Senate Bill 1, Senator Darton's bill, and Senator Cook's SJR, the resolution on bail, we've had conversations with the executive branch in the weeks leading up to the session, but also, we meet weekly now with the governor's office and with the governor, going through those, looking at those priorities and making sure they're moving. So those conversations are constant and ongoing.
One more?
One of the things that you gentlemen made it perfectly clear that you prefer not to reopen the budget for anything if you can help it. Could you see a situation, because you never say never, where you do have to go back and reopen the budget between now and the end of session?
I agree. You can never quite say never, but it's certainly something we try to avoid.
I'd like to say never. So.
Can you guys get the Chicago Bears without opening
Yes.
the budget?
Yeah. And so I think, look, I think Senator Bray and I, Senator Mishler, Chairman Thompson would all prefer not to. I think there are things that we can do to address Hoosier concerns, but once you crack that open, it becomes a challenge from a whole lot of different levels. So maybe never say never, but as close as you can get to it, right? So thank you guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate
everybody.
it.
Yep. Good night.